The ultimatum. The vast chamber of the collective's High Council hung suspended in the void between stars, a testament to engineering that had mastered gravitational manipulation millennia ago. 12 crystalline platforms arranged in a perfect circle housed the representatives of the 12 founding species of the collective, the most powerful alliance of civilizations in the known galaxy. Their forms varied wildly. Some were gaseous entities contained in specialized environments. Others were silicon-based or possessed exoskeletons that glinted under the artificial light. But they all shared one thing: absolute confidence in their superiority. At the center of the chamber hovered a holographic projection of a blue-green planet. Earth, pronounced High Counselor Varix, his triple-jointed appendages gesturing dismissively. His species, the Tal Thuan, had conquered 17 star systems before helping form the collective. Primitive, isolationist, fractured political systems, and yet inexplicably they refused our generous offer of protection. Laughter rippled through the chamber, a discordant mixture of clicks, hums, and telepathic amusement. "They believe they can maintain independence," said Counselor Mithril, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with derision. "Our scans indicate their defensive capabilities are pitiful. Atmosphere-bound aircraft, rudimentary orbital platforms, projectile weapons that would barely scratch our shuttlecraft." High Counselor Varix's facial ridges flattened in what passed for a smile among his kind. "Then perhaps it is time to demonstrate why the collective has stood unchallenged for 12,000 years." The vote was unanimous. A subjugation fleet would be dispatched to Earth. The humans would be given one final chance to surrender their sovereignty peacefully before the collective would make an example of them. After all, maintaining control of the galaxy occasionally required demonstrations of overwhelming force. Commander Ilara Chen stood at the viewport of Artemis Station, the secret orbital platform disguised as a communications satellite. Below her, Earth rotated serenely, unaware of the diplomatic crisis unfolding 300 kilometers above its surface. Her dark eyes reflected the stars as she considered the message they had received 12 hours ago. "They're still waiting for our answer, Commander," said Lieutenant Marcus Okafor, his tall frame silhouetted against the holographic display, showing the collective vessel that had appeared at the edge of their solar system 3 days ago. "Let them wait," Ilara replied, turning from the viewport. At 42, she had spent half her life in the Earth Defense Initiative, a classified organization created after humanity's first detection of alien radio signals 20 years ago. "I want to hear from Dr. Suarez one more time before we respond." The quantum communication panel chimed, and the weathered face of Dr. Isabella Suarez appeared on screen. Behind her, glimpses of the underground facility in Antarctica were visible, the true heart of Earth's defense strategy. "Commander Chen," Dr. Suarez nodded, her silver hair pulled back tightly. "The Aegis grid is operational. All 42 nodes are synchronized and power levels are optimal. If the collective makes good on their threats, we're as ready as we'll ever be." Ilara nodded. "And you're certain they can't detect it?" Dr. Suarez allowed herself a small smile. "The quantum camouflage is holding. To their sensors, we're exactly what they believe us to be, a technologically adolescent species with conventional defenses. They have no idea what we've been developing since we intercepted their communications 15 years ago." "Very well." Ilara straightened her uniform. "Prepare for contact. I'm going to speak with their ambassador again." The collective's ambassador, Zenith Prime, was a towering figure composed of shifting metallic plates that reflected light in hypnotic patterns. Though humanoid in general shape, the similarities ended there. Its voice emerged from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously, a feat of advanced acoustics. "Commander Chen," it intoned as its image appeared on the station's communication screen. "The collective's patience grows thin. Your species has been granted 72 of your hours to consider our generous proposal. That time has nearly elapsed." Ilara kept her face carefully neutral. "Ambassador, as I've explained, Earth values its independence. We have no desire to become the newest subjugated world in your collective. The ambassador's form rippled in what might have been amusement or irritation. It was impossible to tell. Independence is an illusion, Commander. The galaxy is ancient, and its resources are claimed. The collective offers order, protection, and a place within our hierarchy. The alternative. The ambassador paused for effect. The alternative is to become an object lesson for other emerging worlds who might harbor similar delusions of autonomy. Is that a threat, Ambassador? It is reality, Commander Chen. Our subjugation fleet has already been dispatched. They will arrive within 30 of your days. Upon arrival, you will either accept our terms, tribute, technological oversight, and limited autonomy under collective guidance, or face immediate military action. Ilara leaned forward. And if we were to defend ourselves? For the first time, the ambassador's form stilled completely, before a sound like metallic laughter filled the communication channel. Defend? With what, Commander? Our scans have been thorough. Your orbital defenses consist of primitive satellites and a handful of minimally armed stations like this one. Your planetary defenses rely on chemical projectiles and crude nuclear devices. The collective's subjugation fleet carries weapons that could sterilize your planet's surface from beyond the orbit of your moon. The ambassador's form leaned closer to the camera on its end, its voice dropping to an almost sympathetic tone. I advise you to prepare your world leaders for transition. The collective can be generous to those who accept their place willingly. When the communication ended, Lieutenant Okafor let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. They really have no idea, do they? Ilara turned to face her crew, determination hardening her features. No, they don't. And that's our advantage. Begin full activation sequence for the Aegis grid. Alert all EDI personnel worldwide to prepare for Protocol Thunderhead. And get me a direct line to the Security Council. They need to know we're about to reveal ourselves to the collective. Dr. Suarez's fingers flew across holographic controls deep within the Antarctic facility. Around her, a team of the world's most brilliant physicists, engineers, and mathematicians monitored the Aegis grid's activation sequence. For 15 years, they had worked in absolute secrecy, developing technology that leapfrogged conventional scientific understanding. It had begun with the intercepted collective communications, not meant for human ears, but detected nevertheless by an experimental array in the Atacama Desert. Within those transmissions were the keys to understanding quantum entanglement on a scale humanity had barely theorized about. Rather than developing spacefaring technology that would immediately alert the collective to humanity's advancement, Earth's leaders had made a fateful decision. They would focus entirely on defensive capabilities unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Node 37, now at full power, called out Dr. Mahmoud Farid, his eyes fixed on streaming data. The quantum field is stable across the Pacific grid. Power fluctuation in Node 15, reported Dr. Yuki Tanaka. Compensating. Stabilized. Dr. Suarez nodded in satisfaction. The Aegis grid was humanity's masterstroke. 42 facilities buried deep beneath the Earth's surface or hidden on the ocean floor, each housing a quantum particle accelerator that together created an interlocking field of altered space-time around the planet. In theory, the grid could do what the collective believed impossible: selectively filter matter and energy attempting to reach Earth's surface. Final synchronization complete, Dr. Suarez announced. The Aegis grid is fully operational. May God help us if it fails. High above Earth, Commander Chen received confirmation from Antarctica with a mixture of relief and trepidation. Everything they had worked for came down to this moment. If the Aegis grid functioned as designed, humanity had a fighting chance. If it failed, well, the collective's subjugation fleet would ensure there would be no second chances. All EDI defensive positions report ready, Commander, Lieutenant Okafor reported. Conventional military forces worldwide are on highest alert, though they've been told this is merely an exercise. Ilara nodded. Very good. Now we wait. "Do you think they'll honor the 30-day timeline they gave us?" asked Junior Officer Patel, the youngest member of the bridge crew. Commander Chen's expression was grim. "No, that was psychological warfare. They want us to spend those 30 days in fear, debating among ourselves, weakening our resolve. I expect they'll arrive much sooner to catch us unprepared." She was right. Less than 72 hours later, space rippled and tore open at the edge of the solar system. The collective's subjugation fleet had arrived, 3 weeks ahead of their stated timeline, and it was massive. 5 dreadnoughts, each the size of a small moon. Dozens of support vessels arranged in perfect formation. Hundreds of what appeared to be fighter craft swarming around the larger ships like angry insects. The message was clear. Resistance was futile. "Incoming transmission," announced Lieutenant Okafor, his voice steady despite the overwhelming display of force on their screens. The image of Fleet Commander Thorix appeared, a reptilian being with gleaming scales and eyes that seemed to peer into Ilara's soul. "People of Earth," the fleet commander hissed, "your time for deliberation has ended. The collective requires your immediate surrender. You have 1 planetary rotation to disarm all military facilities and prepare for collective occupation forces. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force." Commander Chen stood tall. "Fleet Commander, this is Commander Ilara Chen of Earth. We respectfully decline your offer and request that you withdraw from our solar system immediately." Dorix's inner eyelids blinked in what might have been surprise, followed by amusement. "You decline. With what power do you make such demands, human? Our sensors confirm what we already knew. Your world is defenseless against us." Ilara allowed herself the smallest smile. "Perhaps your sensors need calibration, Fleet Commander. Earth is far from defenseless. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our vessels." "That may be so," Ilara conceded, "but I suggest you scan again before you take any hostile action. You might find Earth more prepared than you anticipated." The communication ended abruptly. On the tactical display, the collective fleet began to move inward toward Earth. The first vessels would reach lunar orbit within hours. "And so it begins," Ilara murmured. "Alert Dr. Suarez. The Aegis grid will be tested sooner than we expected." As the Artemis station crew prepared for the coming confrontation, Ilara couldn't help but wonder if humanity's great gamble would pay off. They had sacrificed space exploration and conventional military development to pour everything into the Aegis grid, a defensive system unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Within hours, they would discover if 15 years of secret work would save their planet, or if Earth would become just another subjugated world in the collective's ancient empire. The massive fleet drew closer, their weapons systems powering up, confident in their impending victory over yet another primitive world. They had no idea what awaited them. The reckoning. The collective armada moved through space with predatory grace, their formation a testament to thousands of years of military evolution. At the center, the command dreadnought Eternal Dominion dwarfed its companions, its silhouette blotting out the stars behind it. Fleet Commander Thorix stood on the bridge, his scaled hands clasped behind his back as he watched Earth grow larger on the main viewport. "Weapons status," he demanded, not bothering to look at his subordinates. "All primary systems at full charge, Commander," reported Sub-Commander Vexala, her insectoid features expressionless. "Planetary bombardment capabilities ready at your command." Dorix's lips pulled back in what passed for a smile among his kind. "Excellent. Begin standard intimidation protocol. Target one of their larger urban centers with a low-yield demonstration. We'll show them the futility of their defiance." Target acquired. Urban settlement designated Sydney. Optimal impact point calculated for maximum psychological effect with minimal resource damage. Fire when ready. The forward section of the Eternal Dominion glowed as energy gathered at its primary weapon port, a beam of concentrated plasma, hot enough to melt through planetary crust, lanced toward Earth's surface. Throughout the fleet, Crew members watched with the casual interest of predators about to consume prey too weak to fight back. But something unexpected happened. As the plasma beam reached the upper atmosphere, it encountered resistance. The deadly energy seemed to hit an invisible barrier, spreading across it like water on glass, dissipating harmlessly into space. "Report," Thorix demanded, leaning forward in shock. "Impossible," Vexilla whispered, her compound eyes reflecting the data streaming across her console. The weapon discharged correctly, but it never reached the surface. Some kind of energy field deflected it. "Impossible," Thorix echoed. "Their technology is centuries from developing planetary shields. Scan again." Scans show nothing abnormal. "Commander, by all readings, Earth has no defensive shield technology, yet the evidence is undeniable." Fleet Commander Thorix's training took over. "All vessels, advance to secondary attack position. Prepare full barrage, multiple targeting. Whatever defense they've managed to cobble together won't withstand concentrated fire." The collective fleet moved closer, arranging itself into attack formation. This time, all 5 dreadnoughts fired simultaneously, targeting different points around the planet. The result was the same. Each destructive beam spread harmlessly across an invisible barrier that, according to their sensors, didn't exist. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Suarez watched the assault through satellite imagery, her heart pounding against her ribs. Around her, the control room erupted in cheers as the Aegis grid performed exactly as designed. "It's working," Dr. Tanaka shouted over the celebration. "The quantum filter is holding." Dr. Suarez allowed herself a moment of triumph before focusing on the readouts. Grid stability at 97%. Power consumption within expected parameters. Prepare for the next phase. They'll escalate now. On screens throughout the facility, they watched as the collective fleet began a more concentrated assault, firing continuous beams at single points, attempting to overwhelm the invisible defense. "They still don't understand what they're dealing with," Dr. Farid observed, watching the futile attack. "They think it's a conventional energy shield that can be overwhelmed with enough power." Dr. Suarez nodded grimly. "And that's our advantage. The Aegis grid doesn't work like anything they've encountered before. It's not stopping their weapons. It's changing the quantum state of the space their weapons are trying to travel through." The room fell silent as a new alert sounded. On the tactical display, smaller vessels were detaching from the collective fleet. "They're sending landing craft," Dr. Suarez announced. "Initiating Phase 2, on Artemis Station." Commander Chen watched the same development with calculated calm. "The collective is deploying what appear to be troop transports," Lieutenant Okafor reported. "They're attempting to bypass the Aegis grid with physical presence." Ilara nodded. "Just as we anticipated. Prepare for Phase 2. Alert all EDI ground teams." She opened a channel to the collective's command ship. Fleet Commander Thorix's reptilian face appeared, his scales flushed with anger. "Your primitive defenses will not save you," he snarled. "Whatever technology you've deployed, the collective will overcome it. We have subjugated species far more advanced than yours." Commander Chen's expression remained neutral. "Fleet Commander, I offer you one final chance to withdraw from Earth's orbit. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves." Thorix's laughter was chilling. "Defend yourselves. You've managed one trick, human. A shield of unknown design. But shields can be penetrated. My ground forces will establish footholds on your surface within hours. Then we will dismantle whatever technology you're using and proceed with subjugation as planned." "I wouldn't be so confident, Commander," Ilara replied. "You still don't understand what you're facing." "Enlighten me then, human," Thorix mocked. Ilara smiled. "You believe we've created a shield. We haven't. The Aegis grid doesn't stop your weapons. It changes the nature of space itself around our planet. And it doesn't just work in one direction." She nodded to Lieutenant Okafor, who activated a command sequence. "Phase 2 initiated," he confirmed. Across Earth, 42 hidden facilities hummed with increased power as the Aegis grid shifted from defensive to offensive configuration. The quantum field surrounding the planet changed its properties, becoming not just a filter but a lens, focusing and redirecting energy. In Antarctica, Dr. Suarez spoke into a global communication channel. All nodes synchronized for targeted response. Primary target designated. The Aegis grid collected ambient energy from solar radiation, geothermal sources, and even the collective's own weapons fire. This energy, now concentrated through the quantum lens, formed into a single devastatingly precise beam that shot upward from Earth's surface. Unlike the flashy energy weapons of the collective, this beam was nearly invisible, a distortion in space rather than a conventional plasma discharge. It struck the Eternal Dominion with surgical precision, bypassing its advanced shields completely. The massive dreadnought shuddered as systems failed throughout its structure. Lights flickered and died. Propulsion systems went offline. Artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. On the bridge, Fleet Commander Thorix grabbed for support as the deck seemed to drop beneath him. "Report. What's happening?" "Unknown energy signature has penetrated all defenses," a panicked officer replied. It's rewriting the quantum structure of our power systems. Nothing is responding." Across the collective fleet, confusion reigned as the flagship went dark, drifting lifelessly in space. The remaining dreadnoughts pulled back, their commanders uncertain how to proceed without orders from Fleet Command. Commander Chen watched the chaos with grim satisfaction. "Open a channel to all collective vessels." When the connection was established, she spoke clearly and firmly. "Attention collective forces. Your command vessel has been neutralized. Its power systems have been rendered permanently inoperable, though life support remains functional." This demonstration was precision-targeted and deliberately limited in scope. She paused to let that sink in. The same technology that protects Earth from your weapons can be used offensively against any target in this solar system with pinpoint accuracy. We can disable your entire fleet without destroying a single ship or taking a single life if we choose. The faces of various collective subcommanders appeared on split screens, their expressions ranging from disbelief to fury to fear. "You have 1 hour to collect your personnel from the Eternal Dominion and withdraw from our solar system," Ilara continued. "Any hostile action during this time will result in immediate neutralization of additional vessels. The crew of your flagship will be permitted to evacuate before we permanently disable it." She ended the transmission and turned to her crew. "And now we wait to see if they're rational enough to recognize an unwinnable scenario." The High Council chamber of the collective was in uproar. For the first time in living memory, a subjugation fleet had not only failed but been humiliated. The holographic feed from the remaining fleet vessels showed the crippled Eternal Dominion being evacuated, while Earth remained completely untouched. "Impossible," High Counselor Varix thundered, his appendages gesticulating wildly. "No emerging species has ever repelled a collective fleet." "And yet," Counselor Mithril said quietly, her bioluminescence pulsing in patterns of concern, "the evidence is undeniable. The humans have developed technology that our sensors cannot properly analyze, technology that renders our weapons ineffective while allowing them to target our vessels with precision." "How?" demanded another counselor, a gaseous entity whose containment field rippled with agitation. "Our intelligence was thorough. Their technological development was carefully monitored. There were no indications of quantum manipulation on this scale." The truth dawned slowly and uncomfortably upon the Council. The humans had deceived them. While the collective watched for conventional technological advancement, spacecraft, energy weapons, faster-than-light research, the humans had pursued an entirely different path. They had sacrificed expansive development to focus entirely on one revolutionary defensive system, and they had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. 6 months later, Commander Ilara Chen found herself in a position she had never imagined, standing in the very chamber where the collective's High Council had once voted to subjugate her world. The crystalline platforms now included a 13th edition, Earth's place in a dramatically restructured galactic political system. The collective had been forced to evolve. Earth's decisive defense had inspired half a dozen other subjugated worlds to revolt, using the confusion to break free from collective control. Rather than risk further fragmentation, the leadership had reluctantly accepted a new reality: coexistence rather than domination. The Galactic Cooperative Charter is now complete, announced Councillor Mithril, who had emerged as a moderate voice in the transition. Her species had always been among the less aggressive members of the former collective. For the first time, in 12,000 years, all signatory worlds stand as equals. Ilara nodded in acknowledgement. Behind her stood Dr. Suarez, now serving as Earth's scientific liaison to the newly formed cooperative. The doctor had steadfastly refused to share the complete details of the Aegis Grid, a strategic decision fully supported by Earth's leadership. Their technological advantage remained their insurance policy in this new, uncertain political landscape. Earth is pleased to join the cooperative as an equal partner, Ilara stated formally. We look forward to contributing to peaceful scientific and cultural exchange while maintaining our sovereignty. The unspoken message was clear: Earth would engage with the galaxy on its own terms, or not at all.